Welcome back to the First Time Homebuyer Show with Gizmo, the only show where one host thinks the square footage of the yard matters more than the square footage of the home. Let's get into it. You do not understand how lender fees work. Neither does your friend in the break room named Chris. Neither does your dad, your mom, or your uncle. And here's the issue. Lenders, especially unethical lenders, know that you don't understand them, but you think you do, and that's how you get taken advantage of. That's why the Consumer Financial Protection Bureau is looking to lower lender junk fees. But here's the thing. Let's talk about how you can lower lender junk fees right now. It involves being more educated about the home buying process and what's actually on the loan estimate. So first and foremost, let me guess. This is what happens when you're trying to compare quotes between lenders or get a good quote. You call around and you're like, hey, lender, what are your rates? But here's the issue with that, because you call lender A and they're like, we got rates right now are 6.00. Lender B is like 5.875. Another's like 5.125. And then you come across the lender and they're like, hey, our rates are 5.125. And you stop right there because you're like, oh man, those rates are like half a point less than every other lender's quoted me. This must be the best lender in all the world, right? Well, maybe, maybe not, because here's the thing about interest rates. You pay them over the course of 30 years. You pay lender fees at closing. So in my opinion, and I've been in the business for a while, lender fees matter more than your interest rate. But you think the other way around naturally, which is why folks get taken advantage of. So let's talk about junk fees. First, let me tell you a quick story. I remember about 4 or 5 years ago when I was a lender, I was ready to go on vacation to Seattle. So whenever you go on vacation, obviously you have buyers, and buyers don't care you're on vacation, right? So you want to get everything as much as possible squared away with them before you leave so you can minimize the phone call. So I did that with this couple. I think we had gone into contract with them maybe like 2 or 3 days before I was ready to go on vacation. And so went over the fees, the loan estimate, did a side-by-side cost comparison and everything with them to make sure things were good to go. And then so like 2 days later, I get a call while on vacation from their dad, and he's like, hey, looking at the numbers or the quote basically gave my son and daughter-in-law, and I think the fees are a little bit high. So I'm like, okay, what fees are high? You know, hey, maybe he knows something I don't know. Maybe they got another estimate. Maybe he's shopping around to another lender. He's like, oh, I just think the fees are high. So I'm like, okay. So I could tell he couldn't really articulate what he was saying, but I'm like, okay, how much higher are they? He couldn't articulate himself. I'm like, okay, which fees are actually higher? I like to ask a bunch of specific questions to get to just to cut right to it. I'm very direct, because sometimes folks try to okie dokie and be like, hey, I think these rates are high. My answer is always, in comparison to what? Right? And so typically it's crickets. And so he wasn't trying to okie dokie me, but he really believed what he had to say. I'm not sure if he got a quote from another lender or what, or somebody. I'm not sure why he was so demonstrative, even though he was like dead wrong. But I was like, okay, here's what we're going to do. You can send me the loan estimate from the other lender. I'll send you my loan estimate before you even send me theirs. So you don't think I'm trying to like okie dokie lower my fees just because I saw what they sent. And I'll do a side-by-side cost comparison, because here's the thing a lot of folks don't realize. The number at the bottom of the loan estimate, like the total fees, it doesn't matter. What only matters is columns A and B on the loan estimate. So I think that was his filing. Long story short, this took like 2 days, which is nonsensical on my vacation. But eventually he kind of conceded that I was right. We carried on with the process, and we were able to get the borrower the best deal possible when it came to their loan. And so I tell that story to say 2 reasons. One, the only way you can tell if one quote is better than another is to get another quote. That is literally the only way. And then 2, you got to know where to look. So when we're talking about a loan estimate and comparing fees, what you want to focus on is only columns A and B. Column A is origination fees. Column B is services you cannot shop for. And so column A, and to an extent column B, is where you'll see the aforementioned junk fees. But here's the thing, lenders are able to hide those junk fees even from financially savvy people by deflating fees in columns C, D, E, and F. So column C are title fees. Title fees are fees from the title company. So sometimes what lenders do is they'll make the fees artificially low in the title company column so that the big number at the bottom, like the total fees, look less. For instance, let's say one lender estimates title fees at $2,000, another estimates title fees at $3,500. So no matter what they're estimated at, the title fees will just be the title fees at the end when it's all said and done. Same things with columns C or D and E. Those are taxes and insurance. Tax and insurance are determined by your local jurisdiction, city, state, county. So if one lender makes them artificially low, when it's all said and done, the taxes are the taxes. Your insurance is the insurance. You're going to go to Jake from State Farm or Flo or whoever your favorite character is, your local insurance agent, and just get the insurance from them. That quote doesn't matter. Lenders are artificially, bad lenders and ethical lenders are artificially deflating column C, E, D, E, and F to make the grand total look less. So let's talk about what you should focus on columns A and B. Column A are just your origination fees. So you'll see like points, which are not bad. Points are just points, not inherently bad. They can be used for bad, which I'll talk about in a second. And it's your points, you'll see like some sort of administrative fee, whether it is a processing fee, or underwriting fee. You'll see some sort of fee there, and typically that should be it. Real quick, I went back and watched the episode and realized I'm saying a lot of stuff matter-of-factly because I've been in the industry for 7 years, 4 years as a lender. So a lot of stuff is obvious to me. So I can look at a quote and just like that, figure out which one is the best. But when I told the story at the beginning, I talked about the side-by-side comparison I gave to that couple's father. Have the lenders do that for you. So if you're working with, let's say, 3 lenders, have them all give you side-by-side comparisons of everyone's quotes and see who's the best. And here's the thing, they should all come back with the same answer. It's like lender A's fees maybe beat everyone's fees by $475. And here's the thing, lenders should not care, especially if they're ethical lenders, about who has the lower fees. Back when I was a lender, I could care less about that because lenders should be pitching you on their ability to service you and educate you in the home buying process, because here's a little secret. Every lender can match any lender's quote because they rather get 80% of the commission that they were going to get than 0% because they didn't want to lower their fees $300. So every lender can match every lender's quote. If a lender's biggest selling point is their rates and points, they're probably not a good lender. But yeah, have all those lenders do the side-by-side comparison. If 2 come back with the same number, the third comes back with another number, they're probably the shady lender. Yeah, there you go. And let's get back to our regularly scheduled programming. All right. What you'll sometimes see is lenders will throw those junk fees in the column A. And so your processing fee, sometimes it's broken into 2 things, maybe a processing fee and an underwriting fee, but those fees should not add up to more than like $1,000. That's really, if it's over $1,000, something is going on. Now, if you start seeing miscellaneous fees on top of those other 2 fees, that's where lenders are hiding junk fees. I've seen like a lender bonus fee in there. I've seen internet fee in there. Just these random miscellaneous fees in there to basically boost the lender fees to boost their commission. And where I typically see this are like brokers, the smaller lenders. So as much of a bad rap that like big banks do, Wells Fargo, Navy Federal, justified at times get, they're in the news because they get caught, they get put on Front Street. These smaller lenders know they're not going to get caught. Like I said, the worst quotes I've ever seen in my entire life are from smaller brokers, which I'll talk about that in a later episode. So in that column A, you're just looking at those items. So column B are services you cannot shop for. You'll see like tax service fees, you'll see like flood cert fees, you'll see a credit report fee, and you'll see like an appraisal fee. An appraisal fee is the biggest fee you'll see. You can't shop for those, but you're adding columns A and B together in order to get that whole total. So for instance, if you see like if you see a column that says like an appraisal may be $395 for one lender, and then for another lender, it may be $695. You can't like go in there and individually negotiate fees. You're just negotiating the whole kit and caboodle, columns A and columns B together. I'm a realtor in Dallas and would love to help you reach your goals of home ownership. So click the link in the description and just schedule a call no matter where you are on your journey. Not in Dallas? No worries, I can help connect you with a vetted realtor in your local jurisdiction as well. And feel free to share with friends, family, and foes. Everyone gets left. But let's jump back to points. So at the beginning of this video, I talked about you calling the lender, or one lender being like 565, one lender being like 5125, and you being enamored by the lender with the lower interest rate, right? So here's the thing: a lender can quote you whatever quote you want to hear. What you need to do to accurately compare quotes is, okay, let's say you think that 5.125 is great. You need to ask every single other lender to quote you at a 5.125 as well, because you want to see what the points are for each lender at 5.125, because that's the only way to tell what each lender's points will be at that total. If you look at a lender that's quoting you a 5.875 and they're quoting you maybe half a point, a lender is down at a 5.125, they're quoting you 1.25 points. There's no real way to compare those fees, right? And so once all lenders are on the same playing field, ask for the lenders to give you a quote at 5.125 and see what the points are. And that's what, and then add columns A and B together and get that total. If that's a little too high, you don't want to buy down the rate that much. You may want to say, hey, that's a little bit too rich for my blood. Quote me at a 5.575, and let's see what the points and fees are at that number, right? So make sure when comparing quotes, you are comparing the exact same interest rates. That is literally the only way to go about it. And the reason I say the points are inherently bad is if they're disclosed up front, they're just disclosed up front. And a lender should be able to tell you whether it makes financial sense for you to buy down the rate using points. Because if it's going to be a home you're in for like the next 15 years or for the life of the loan, it makes sense financially to pay that interest up front, because you'll break even at a certain point. And then like after year 7 or 8, the cost savings from having the lower rate will outweigh the upfront money you paid up front. But have your lender do that cost comparison as well. But yeah, that's really it. It's columns A and B from the loan estimate that you should be comparing when it's between lenders. Don't worry about cost worksheets. Don't worry about anything else. Don't get fooled by that big total at the bottom. And once again, the only way to actually compare if one lender's rates are good, bad, is to have another rate in order to compare it to. So I think that may be all we got for this evening. You got anything for me, buddy? I think it's maybe ready to go inside. So as always, buy land. Rumor has it they're not making any more of it.